As I've said before, the vast majority of the subscribers and viewers of this channel, LatumWay, are American. And because of that, I'm not actually sure to what extent the majority of my subscribers are aware of current events in Britain and, you know, British politics, British news, British culture, that kind of thing. I'm not really sure to what extent you guys are aware of that. If you're British, I would hope that you are, but as most of you are American, I just don't know. I'm British, and I tend to think that I have a pretty decent understanding of current events and news of America, you know, in comparison to most British people. I guess it's just something I kind of like doing. It's just something that interests me. America. It's interesting. But like I said, I'm not sure to what extent the reverse is true. Americans knowing stuff about Britain. And therefore, I'm not really sure how many of you will be aware of what I'm about to talk about. There's no particularly good way to segue into this, so instead I'm just going to reference the title of of the BBC News article that I'm going to link in the description, which reads as follows. David Cameron says the UK is a Christian country. Brilliant. Now, if you read this article, you'll read that he says a number of things, and there's a number of quotes you can pull from this article where he's talking about various issues about God and religion, what he believes and what he doesn't believe. That's not what I'm really going to concentrate here. I want to focus mainly on the eponymous issue of the UK being a Christian country. So what exactly did David Cameron, who, if you don't know, is my Prime Minister, I mean, I didn't vote for him, but yeah, he's my Prime Minister, David Cameron. Knowledge. Here is what David Cameron actually said. We are a Christian country and we should not be afraid to say so. Let me be clear, I am not in any way saying that to have another faith or no faith is somehow wrong. I know and fully respect that many people in this country do not have a religion, and I am also incredibly proud that Britain is home to many different faith communities who do so much to make our country stronger. But what I am saying is that the Bible has helped to give Britain a set of values and morals which make Britain what it is today. Now, I feel like I can deal with the surface of what he's saying here pretty quickly, especially since right at the bottom of the article, he's quoted as saying, "The tolerance that Christianity demands of our society provides greater space for other religious faiths too, and because many of the values of a Christian country are shared by people of all faiths, and indeed by people of no faith at all." So I don't really understand why he's saying that the Bible has shaped Britain and has given us all, you know, a sense of morality and shared values, when he also at some point says that you can do without the Bible and have exactly the same values and morals. So that's pretty silly to begin with, but that's not actually what I want to deal with. I want to deal with him saying that the UK is a Christian country. My instant, immediate reaction to that assertion is, what exactly do you mean by a Christian country? And of course, in reality, I do kind of know what he means. He's saying that in the history of Britain, religion, more specifically Christianity, has played a distinct role in shaping how modern day Britain looks now. And that is undeniable. Absolutely, religion, Christianity, has shaped, or at the very least influenced, the culture and society and political and institutional mechanisms of modern day Britain. That's absolutely undeniable. And what exactly has that given us? Again, I don't know if you guys know this, but the UK isn't actually a secular country. We have an established church, our parliament is opened with prayers, we have bishops in the House of Lords. Also, Christianity is inherently intermixed and intermingled and bound up with the system of monarchy that we have in this country, and I think you all know how I feel about the monarchy. Hint, I don't like it. Those are some notable examples, but the example that I think really showcases the deleterious effect of religion in our country's workings are religion in education. Just from the get-go, legally speaking, every school legally has to have at least one daily act of collective worship. Now, I hasten to add that the vast majority of schools in this country do not actually adhere to this particular requirement. I've got a statistic up here. 76% of secondary schools do not provide a daily act of collective worship. And nothing is really done about this. Even though they are technically breaking the law, no one's, you know, being sent to prison or, you know, being reprimanded because they aren't making kids pray. But the fact that that law exists at all is kind of messed up. Even more messed up is the fact that, according to the law, again, very few people actually observe this, but according to the law, these daily acts of collective worship have to be largely Christian in nature. Once again, not particularly observed, but the fact that that exists as a law in the United Kingdom is rather troubling. And we can go all the way from that up to the far more damaging effects of faith schools. Faith schools in Great Britain are basically just state-sponsored schools that have a definite and strong religious ethos to them. And they are problematic in a number of ways. The main reason that most people have a problem with this is that fundamentally, at the most basic possible level, the state should not be involving itself in instilling religious faith into children, okay? That is not the job of the state. And the fact that taxpayers' money is going towards making that happen is wrong. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. The Accord Coalition very recently put together a portfolio of and here's the title, Testimonies and Media Reports of Discriminatory and Exclusive Practices by Faith Schools, and it was released in December 2011, so it's very, very recent. Essentially, this is just a collection of, as it says, media reports and personal testimonies of many troubling and damaging aspects of things that happen quite regularly in faith schools in the United Kingdom. The Accord Coalition splits this up into 3 categories. Number 1, discrimination in pupil admissions. Number 2, discrimination in staff employment. And number 3, inappropriate and exclusive practices in the curriculum. The first category is very self-explanatory. Essentially, it's just certain children not being allowed to go to state schools because they do not fit the religious ethos of that school, i.e. they're not of the right religion. Or, even more specifically, they might be of the right religion, but they're not of the right type of the right religion. A notable example that they give is the case of a child that lived 100 yards from a Catholic secondary school who was not allowed to be admitted, who was not accepted into this Catholic school because he wasn't Catholic. This is a state-sponsored school. This is a state school, people. And there are also examples of this happening in an Islamic setting, essentially, as you can probably imagine. Muslims not being allowed to go to a Muslim school because they're not the right type of Muslim. Moving on to the second category, discrimination in staff employment. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory as well. Very simply, some people are not being employed at schools because they're not of the right religion or the right type of the right religion. Although one particularly interesting example of this was the case of a head teacher who was forced to resign from his post because he remarried, and this was at a Catholic school, and he was basically pressured into resigning because obviously Catholics don't like that. Now apparently he was a pretty good teacher because the parents of this school drew up a petition and they started a campaign on Facebook. So good for them. But yeah, he basically lost his job because he did something in his personal life which Catholics tend not to agree with. Remember, this is at a state school. The third category, inappropriate and exclusive practices in the curriculum, is a little more verbose and less obvious, but I think you can all tell what it's basically talking about. Essentially, this category concerns itself with kids being taught that the universe was created in 7 days and the Earth is 6,000 years old as an actual fact, okay? Completely contrary to what is actually, well, yeah, completely contrary to what's true. Something else that you probably can foresee pretty easily within this category is homophobia, because for some reason, religions just do not like gay people. We've got an example of a faith school, which again is a state-funded school in the United Kingdom, which was teaching that sexual acts between two people of the same sex were inherently wrong, and that homosexual people should be celibate. Pupils were taught that, quote, homosexual sex can never be open to the potential of new life, and so sex simply becomes a selfish way of gratifying a person. So basically, that applies to 99% of all heterosexual sex then. And really, that's what you boil sex down to when it's not conceiving a child, a selfish way of gratifying a person. It's not a show of love, or it's not just generally having fun or a bonding experience between two people. Whatever. I'm not really concerning myself with arguments such as these in this video. Essentially what I'm saying is that all of these examples that I've just pointed out that were listed in the Accord Coalition's portfolio on these kind of damaging practices which regularly occur in faith schools, they're not okay, alright? Children not being admitted to a state school because they're not of the right religion. Teachers not being employed at a state school because they're not of the right religion. Faith schools teaching kids that the world is 6,000 years old as a fact, and that homosexuality is inherently wrong. That should not be happening in a state school. It is not the job of the state to be supporting educational institutions that behave in that way. So all of those examples of faith in education and religion in our politics, in our political mechanisms systems and in our, monarchy system that we have here in the United Kingdom, these are all examples of what religion has done for the United Kingdom. As I pointed out, David Cameron himself said that many people of varying religious beliefs, or lack thereof, have the same values. So why he's saying that the Bible is contributed to an inherent set of shared morals of the people as a binding force for all of us is pretty darn absurd, and I think, with reference to him saying that himself, fairly self-defeating. On top of that, what we have in this country is a political system with various institutional mechanisms and workings and stuff like that, which is heavily influenced by religion, and that's just not right, because you get things like this. Great Britain should be secular. As it is, it's not. So if David Cameron wants to say that in this context the UK is a Christian country, I can understand where he's coming from, and I partly agree with him. My contention is that this is not a good thing. Once again, the state should not have any opinion on, it should not involve itself in, and it should not support any form of religion. Now, I'm not saying that Great Britain is on the level of, state religion mixing as other countries, like, for instance, say, Iran, but saying that you're better than Iran isn't really saying much. The fact that these kind of things happen at all is a problem. Once again, the UK isn't secular. In this sense, it is in some ways a Christian country, but that is not a good thing. So we have that particular side of the argument, the fact that our political system and the monarchy we have in this country, and a lot of things about how our country works within society and culture and stuff like that, a lot of that has been influenced by Christianity. But I'm not really sure if you can actually refer to that as justification for calling the UK a Christian country. After all, what do the people of Britain think about religion? Well, quite fortuitously, the latest British Social Attitude Survey has been released literally about 8 or 9 days ago, I think. And it has all sorts of lovely information about religion in the United Kingdom. So, what do the British people say about their adherence and interaction with religion? Turns out bang on 50% of British people do not affiliate with any religion. Instantly, that destroys the idea that socially, at least, in terms of people, which I think is a far better way of measuring whether a country is a certain religion or not. The United Kingdom, Great Britain, is not a Christian country, but let's go on. Of the other half of the population, the half that do affiliate with religion, 56% of these people never attend religious services or meetings outside of funerals and weddings and that kind of thing. So of the people of this country that do affiliate with a religion, most of them don't even practice their religion. These don't really seem like statistics that back up the idea that Great Britain is a Christian country. But another interesting statistic that this report is actually at great pains to point out is that of the youngest age group that they actually questioned, 18 to 24-year-olds, 65% of them said that they do not affiliate with a religion. That's almost 2/3. This is compared to the oldest age range that they questioned, which was ages 75 to 94, which came in at 24% not affiliating to a religion. So apparently only a quarter of the oldest people in this country don't affiliate themselves with a religion. But the youngest adult people in this country are overwhelmingly irreligious. And the thing is about old people versus young people is that generally it's old people that have more of a tendency to die, and it's the young people that replace them. Simply what this report says is that the UK, in terms of what people actually think about religion in Britain, is not a Christian country, and it's going to get even less of a Christian country. So what does this mean in response to what David Cameron said? David Cameron said that the United Kingdom is a Christian country. Clearly the statistics don't back it up. What I'm about to read out now is the final paragraph of the conclusion section of the latest British Social Attitude Survey that I've just been talking about. What does this decline mean for society and social policy more generally? On the one hand, we can expect to see a continued increase in liberal attitudes towards a range of issues such as abortion, homosexuality, same-sex marriage and euthanasia, as the influence of considerations grounded in religion declines. Moreover, we may see an increased reluctance, particularly among the younger age groups, for matters of faith to enter the social and public spheres at all. The recently expressed sentiment of the current coalition government to do and get God, therefore may not sit well with and could alienate certain sections of the population. What this is saying, Prime Minister, is that if you continue to say that the United Kingdom is a Christian country when it clearly isn't in terms of actual affiliation to a religion by the British people, it is going to alienate the people who will be running this country in the future. It is going to alienate the people who you will rely on for support. It is going to make people not want to vote for you. Though you are right in saying that this country has been heavily influenced by the role of Christianity in the history of Britain that has led to how Britain is today, people in the United Kingdom are not overwhelmingly religious. In fact, they are mostly not religious or not practicing. The United Kingdom is not a Christian country. Stop saying it is. If you don't stop saying it is, it will be to your detriment. See you later, everybody.